Welcome, everyone, to Inclusive Pathways, the podcast where we break down barriers, build connections, and reimagine what inclusion truly means. I'm Jessica Winchester, CEO of Inclusive Pathways, and your host today. And every week, we dive into the heart of disability inclusion and explore how it goes beyond policy. It's really a mindset that drives innovation, resilience, and authentic equity. To keep up Inclusive Pathways, be sure to follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram for inclusive content. And you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Today, I'm really excited to bring back Michael Grimmett to the show. Michael is an amazing advocate and leader in disability inclusion. He brings not only his expertise, but a powerful personal journey that has fueled his mission to make workplaces, communities, and the world, let's be honest, more accessible for everyone. Michael, it's always really great to have you on, and I'm so excited to be talking with you again today. Could you tell us a little bit about who you are? I know we talked about this in the last episode, but I want everybody to be able to follow you and make sure they can connect with you today.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for the opportunity again to have me on. I'm Michael Grimmett. I'm a full-time wheelchair user. I have cerebral palsy and a speech impairment, and you can follow me generally on the wonderful LinkedIn and also on X as well. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on again. And last time we talked a little bit about disability inclusion in general, what your background was, how you got started, those concepts of inclusion, and how that really resonated and pushed you forward in what you're doing today. Um, I feel like a lot of times people don't really understand what inclusion looks like. They might have the concept there, but they're not actually understanding the difference between something that's inclusive versus exclusive. So I was wondering if today we can discuss like what makes an environment more inclusive? What are the things that make it less inclusive or exclusive, right? And can you talk about maybe share some of your personal experience between what that looks like? What makes something inclusive for you?
So I think being inclusive is about the whole customer experience, whether or not you're disabled or non-disabled, everyone wants to feel like they are included and catered for. So for me, inclusion is just simply meaning being thought of and being catered for. So I'll give you an example of somebody or a company thinking they are inclusive, but they're not, and then also follow up with an example of inclusion in a similar sphere. So we'll start off with the exclusion. So
Okay.
locally where I live, I saw advertised um, inclusive boxing. Now, you think that would mean boxing, and we've got all
Sure.
the inclusion aspects thought of. So I turned up to this boxing gym, and it advertised it at either 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on a Wednesday or 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on a Friday. So I thought I'll go after work.
Yeah.
Friday, bust out the bust out the Friday blues, and maybe not have my customary Friday drink. Yeah. So I turned up, and it was raining. There's always things to be problems for me and causing chaos in the rain. So I turned up, and my PA, my assistant, said to me, "Yeah, quite a big step up for this gym."
Mm.
I went, "Oh yeah, they'll have a ramp,
Hmm.
they'll have a ramp. Go in and find somebody and bring them out, and I'll and get the ramp out. And we'll be fine. Is inclusion boxing, you know, including the name.
Yeah, inclusion,
And,
you'd think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so she brought out this man out, and I said to him, "Where's your ramp? You know, let's get this thing going." And he went, "Oh no, we don't have a ramp."
Oh.
I went, "Oh, okay, but it's like inclusion boxing." Oh yeah, yeah, but wheelchair users can only join on a Wednesday, not on the Friday. I went, right, they're only inclusive on a Wednesday then. No, I'd advertised on the Wednesday and Friday. And he went, well, that's because on a Wednesday we have access to the goods yard round the back, and
Oh.
we can get it open, and you can come in round the back. But you can only access it when it's open, and it shuts at 5. So like,
Huh.
right, so it's not really inclusive, then, is it? It's
Right.
only if you're a non-wheelchair user that you can get in and do it. You went, oh, so why can't you come on a Wednesday? But, well, because I work, and 11 to 12 isn't great for
Yeah,
working
right.
when you work. And he went, oh, oh yeah, I'm really, really sorry, but yeah, you basically you out of that, mate. So that isn't really inclusive. So
No.
yeah, I did write about it on my LinkedIn with a nice picture of the step, and then that leads to like disappointment, and also like what I call internalized ableism, where like you actually think it's actually your fault as a disabled
Yeah.
person. You didn't think that somebody would bizarrely not think that inclusive would mean everybody. So you actually believe you have to have a minute of like self doubt in a way, because you think that it's your problem rather than actually it's their problem. That
Mhm.
they should have advertised it as being inclusive, and no one obviously is not. And that's what happens with I think with disabled people quite a lot, is that you
Mhm.
kind of think it's your fault that something not inclusive. Um, but actually it's not
Mhm.
your fault. It's society's fault for not wanting to include you. Hey, so
Right.
we wanted a good example of inclusion, don't we? So rather than you off for bad ones, there are some good ones, people. Don't worry. So
Yes, yeah.
fast forward to so in Wales, which is a long way away from where I live, but I met somebody called Chris on my holiday there, and he runs an inclusive boxing gym, and yes, it has got a ramp, and it has lots of different things in there. It has the first ever wheelchair boxing wheelchair, so you can sit in it and experience it, and that's what it's all about. That people should be able to experience things as an equally, and
Mhm.
compete equally with non-disabled people. And there's a lot more on Chris's LinkedIn, and you can have a look, and there's some wonderful stuff that he's doing um, around inclusive boxing. And it's not about disabled people turning up and beating one another up. Nobody actually fights each other during the actual session. It's more about like keeping fit, exercising, and actually having some kind of peer support as well.
Mhm.
I think in the disability community, peer support is really, really important. You get to hear about things going on in your area and that kind of thing. So by being inclusive, you're bringing people to
Mhm.
you and forming some kind of community. You obviously may making money as well, because everybody pays to go there. But you know, I think that is what inclusiveness is about.
Yeah.
Every have the right. It's not that difficult to do. Here, somebody who's blind that goes there, somebody who's deaf. There's all kinds of impairments, and we're not just thinking about wheelchair users. We're not just talking about all different impairments, and you can all support one another, and that is what it should be
Mhm.
all about, Jessica. It's about that actual feeling that you have a sense of belonging, and it's not that difficult to be inclusive either. It's just an actual thought process, and if you're in doubt, then just ask a single person, ask somebody with lived experience of and then and then they'll be sure to tell you. So you know
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
is
I think that what you're talking about here is so important because, inclusion, looking at what inclusion really looks like, it's including everybody, not necessarily just one aspect. When you talk about the inclusive boxing, where when you came there, you could get up the stair because
yeah,
they were thinking of inclusion as bringing people around the back, to be able to get
yeah,
in without the ramp. And
yeah,
to me, that's not something that, means
no,
everybody. That just means somebody who needs the ramp to be able to get in, right? Not necessarily
exactly,
everybody, which is what
exactly,
inclusion truly is
yeah.
supposed to be about.
Because and that's what I think people get confused between accessibility
Mhm.
and inclusion.
Right.
So you may be accessible, but you might not be inclusive.
Mhm.
So you might have a ramp, and that is the accessibility thing. But you also might not be inclusive. So
Mhm.
I think there's two differences there. So yeah, the access is the actual tangible thing, which is the actual ramp. Or if you've got another impairment, it might be another example. But I'm a wheelchair user, so I'm obviously biased towards that. But there might be some other things that a facility had that you might need, for example, braille
Mhm.
or hearing loop and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But actually, for example, if I went for an afternoon tea once with a friend, and it was in this building, and it said on the door, because there were steps up, on the bit with ironically next to the steps, wheelchair users need to go round the back. So I went round the back. It was raining. Took me a bit longer to get round the back. I went up the ramp. I had to nearly stretch to push the button to buzz somebody. It took them 5 minutes to get to me. I'm already getting more wet. It was raining.
Oh,
I'm a
man.
little bit annoyed now. They finally opened the back door for me. I go in. I go past the Gordon Ramsay style kitchen where they're all shouting at one another. I finally get to my seat, and my friend had sat there. What? What took you so long? Yeah, I've had half my gin and I've eaten half the sandwiches.
Oh,
Um,
my.
and that place was accessible, but it wasn't inclusive. I didn't have the actual same customer experience as my non-disabled friend
Mhm.
had. She got shown to a seat and all that jazz, and she was nowhere near as wet as what I was. So I did the actual same, and then that leads to disappointment, and then that leads
Mhm.
to not wanting to go back.
Yeah.
So, and then that's it, really.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think another part that businesses, organizations are really missing with the inclusive part of things is exactly what you just said, that customer experience. You know, if your organization or business was, let's say, open and inclusive to everybody, then what would happen with that is they would be able to take on more customers, potentially make more money and gain those experiences where people want to come back, make that return customer happen, making somebody come back again and again and again because they had a positive experience, so they were inclusive in that. And exactly, like you know, I can't imagine sitting outside in the rain, Michael, and waiting for somebody to open the door for you.
I
What's up with
know.
the rain and you lately, huh?
Um, there's a lot about me and the rain, Jessica. I
I
was
know.
involved in Prezogate, which was where how I became famous.
Uh-huh.
That was in a thunderstorm. I was involved in the boxing thing with me against sat in the rain, went around, and then you got me again at afternoon tea, and just me in the rain. I just love to sit in it, I think. So, or maybe these organisations think I do, but
Yeah.
no, there's something about the rain and me having an accessibility or inclusion kind of issue, shall we just say? So,
Sure. Or
yes.
maybe it just rains quite a bit where you are, and that's,
Well, it is in the UK.
yeah.
So, we do get quite a lot of rain, and I'm sure all your listeners know. So, yes, we do have a lot of rain. But
Yeah.
there is something about me, and I probably should check the weather forecast and actually probably ring them up before and double check that. But in my defence, I did ring up the boxing gym and ask them if I could come at that time,
Mhm.
and they said yes. So in my defence, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't actually. Um, yeah, know that one really.
I wanna give you an example of I have a friend who she is deaf, and she, was telling me about an experience one time that she had in a drive-through here, one of those popular drive-through places. I won't name the organization. But as you know, you're going through the drive-through. She was in a hurry, just like anybody else, going to work, getting stuff done, had a meeting. She just wanted to go through the drive-through. And she got up to the window, and obviously, she couldn't use the system at the window to be able to take an order. So most people pull ahead and order at the window. And that's exactly what she did. She pulled ahead, ordered at the window. As she was giving her order and explained, like, hey, she has a card that says I'm deaf. She was giving what she wanted. She was pointing to what she wanted. Um, the individuals there kept saying and writing that they were not going to serve her. She had to come inside if she was deaf. She had to come inside to get her food and order. That's what their rule was. So they kept and mind you now, like as she's getting a little bit more upset about the situation because she's never had that problem before. There's cars, lining up behind her, right? And so she decided, since they got her manager and everything, she said, "I'm not moving. I'm just like anybody else. I deserve to have my order taken. Here's my order." And so she sat there and took a sign and just went beyond to each car behind it, apologizing, saying, "Hey, they're refusing to feed me because I'm deaf. Refusing my service because I'm deaf." So that each car behind her would know that that's the reason why they're late now, right? Because 'Cause they're refusing to
Yeah,
serve her. And,
yeah,
finally, someone came out with a bag with her food in it, and allowed her to go through. And at the point, but it was it's such an experience for her to describe about that. I'm just like, I cannot imagine. I just cannot imagine like having someone refuse me service just because I needed to come inside. It made no sense. How does that even help the situation? Maybe they thought the process would be smoother
No,
for them, but not for their customers, right?
no. I also think that sometimes people are just scared of difference,
Mhm.
and disability is not a difference to any to disabled people. But if you don't understand it, then I guess it could be a bit scary, and you kind of I tend to think that people are scared of doing the wrong thing
Mhm.
rather than treating everybody equitably.
Right.
They just think, oh, you're disabled, we need to treat you entirely different. And actually, you don't. You just need to treat everybody equitably, and then
Right.
that would then lead to the equality of the experience.
Mhm.
So there's nothing wrong with your friend, just pointing and just clearly just provided she's not pointing at the whole menu and going,
Yeah.
provided it's clear, then
Right.
that's fine. Also, maybe somebody within that venue should know a tiny bit of basic sign language, just hello, how are you?
Mhm.
Yeah, how can I help you? That kind of
Exactly.
thing. And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
that would mean that they are also a lot more inclusive as well. Just think,
Mhm. Yes.
there's a lot more deaf people than there are wheelchair users if you break down the disability kind of percentages. So yeah,
Yeah. If you think about it too, Michael, later in life or some point in people's lives, sometimes we become disabled or we lose our hearing, right? Or just in general, like
yeah,
if I'm a female who's pregnant,
yeah,
or if
yeah,
I am a elderly woman, right? There are
yeah,
a lot of reasons why inclusivity is important. And it affect if we're inclusive to everybody, it helps everybody. I mean,
yeah,
I watch my videos in the evening on LinkedIn or Instagram. I see the captions because I don't want to wake everybody up in my house, right?
yeah,
Those captions help me be able
yeah,
to like visualize and
exactly,
see things. Yeah.
exactly, and and we all use accessibility tools differently, don't we?
Right.
So all the people in the UK, I don't know what the stats are in the US, but in the UK, 80% of disability is uh, acquired. So I always say that in all my sessions that I do, that give that a stats that people often think you're born disabled,
Right.
um, but they're actually not
Mhm.
true. 80% of disability happens at some point, even in your life
Mhm.
after birth. So
Mhm.
therefore, you know, it's about how society can embrace that and welcome you really. Because it's
Right.
bad enough, and nobody gives you a book. So when you become disabled,
Mhm.
sadly, Jessica, nobody gives you a manual on it. So nobody
Yeah.
says, this is the manual on how to be disabled, or
Right.
how not to be, or my one would be how not to be a disabled person. But anyway, but, um, but yeah, nobody does that though. So we need to kind of bear that in mind as well. So,
Exactly.
and it's okay to make
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah. Why boxing? Tell me a little bit about your interest in boxing. Why did you choose
That
boxing?
it
I
was
need to
just
know.
a random Michael's World thing. So I was asked to do a training session for a company, and I was looking at they gave me their slides. I looked at their slides. I thought, oh, we need a couple more videos. So I asked them if I could change it. And I did a bit of hunting on LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it, and came across this really cool boxing gym, and it had a Paralympian there, and they were all doing the actual boxing. And I thought, oh, one day I want to go there, but it's about 4 hours away by a car, so not really worth a day trip, really. And then a month later, I got asked by a contact in Wales if I could do some training in Wales, and they offered to pay the accommodation and also a fee for me. I thought, so while I'm there in the evening, I can try out the boxing and go and give that a go, and then afterwards I then learn some exercises and stuff like that, and yeah, and keep regular contact te- te- via telephone, and yeah, just do it semi regularly, and then
Mhm.
thought about the actual film that worked on. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the somewhat tedious link to me and boxing.
I always think about boxing and, like, if I were to get into something, that might be good just to kinda get out my frustrations, you know?
Yeah, and it's not about like you may not want to go in the ring and face somebody, but you may want to go somewhere out of your house,
Mhm.
make some friends, do a bit of exercise, and then and then that can also bring about some physical and mental well-being. And just because you're disabled doesn't mean that you don't want to work out or can't work out. You can. You probably just have to do it in a different way to a non-disabled person. But,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
there's no harm in giving it a go, and there's lots of people who do it, and it's the little things, isn't it? So
Mhm.
it's about like a wheelchair user being able to like put a little of the exercises, being able to still get themselves on and off the actual toilet, and that little thing can mean so much for for somebody to have that level of
Right.
being able to still do it. So and I always say it's the little things that matter, not really
Mhm.
sadly it won't make you be able to walk, but it will be able to make you man, maintain the level of independence you have if you
Yeah.
have the exercises.
I love that, Michael. It's the little things that count, and I think that anybody who's approaching disability inclusion, that's a really good a thing to say to them, right? Like, it's a good thing to tell
Yeah,
them, like, it's one step at a time. It's those little things that really matter. It's not necessarily this huge,
exactly.
big accessibility plan, which is obviously great, but the little things of that inclusion, the steps you take to make it more inclusive for everybody in
Yeah,
whatever capacity is better than it was before, right?
exactly, Jessica, and that is what we should all strive to. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's about making the facilities accessible and to see the actual value, not just money wise, but all of the everything around
Right.
including that disabled people can bring to the actual party really, and
Mhm.
that is what it's all about.
Yeah. And, Michael, your expertise and experiences really continue to remind us about the transformative, genuine inclusion and what that can look like and how people can be inspired by that, to make facilities, to make communities more inclusive. So again, just thank you so very much for being here today.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me, Jessica.
Disability inclusion isn't just like a checkbox like we're talking about today. It's not this checkbox. It's about fostering those work places and communities where everybody can truly belong and thrive. And so, if you found today's conversation helpful, don't forget to just subscribe to Inclusive Pathways on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn or Instagram, and make sure you're around for more episodes, those really great expert tips and practical strategies. Thanks again for tuning in, and we look forward to continuing this journey and with Michael. Until next time, thank you.